I guess we're going. Um, this may be too much information, but I you might have picked up on this. I don't live alone, right? I have somebody else in the house. It's a relative, um, and so when I record these things, oftentimes they will overhear them, right? And I got this comment today that I just have to convince myself with some of the things that my name, Shigiliter, is reading, uh, when he's reading the text in the game, it's not him, it's the game. So that kind of had to be done maybe a little bit in the last recording when I was reading Tomori's free time events. It's not him, it's the game. There's been a lot. There's been several kind of scenes like that over the months. Uh, yeah, in various games I've played so far. Remember 11 was kind of like that too in a few spots. But anyway, I really like Remember 11 though. But I'm pretty sure Let's Players, like people who watch Let's Plays, like this person who has to like spend some sort of energy into putting their brain in a state where they can think it's not him, it's the game is kind of an outlier. Like most normal people, I would presume, would assume that, would think that way automatically. I don't really have to defend myself in any way of reading off vulgar things that are written in the game text. That's not something that's just normal. Uh, anyway, just to like get that off my chest. I haven't done any more work, really, in any sort of earnest fashion, into figuring out why my build of Easy RPG doesn't allow me to grab and then paste text that's written in Hangul without it turning it into garbage. However, just my inkling, my somewhat of a slightly educated hunch, is that it's going to be very difficult for me to fix that. What I suspect is going on is that the routine, so something in the whole let's see here. The text, okay, let me try to get this right. The text next class, the property of that class is called next. I would guess, and I could probably find it in the files, I don't have it up right now, is a char type in C++, because we assign it to a variable which is declared as a const char pointer. Char in C++ is encoded in ASCII, which does not have values assigned to Hangul characters. So somewhere in here, I presume in the files that make up the RPG Maker game, the text is stored in UTF-8 format. And somehow this text next class stores that as a character array, I'd presume. And if the dot next, it might be I know I said property, but it might be a method. I'm not sure. Because it looks the same, right? A property or a method that returns a value returns a char. So it converts it from UTF-8 to char. It might not be UTF-8, it might be UTF-16, but it's some sort of Unicode, right? It converts from Unicode to char, and it would still run the algorithm that converts from Unicode to char on the CPU for the Unicodes that don't have a corresponding char, or ASCII. Unicodes don't have a corresponding ASCII. But it creates a garbage ASCII value that doesn't map to a character I can understand. It's like one of the 1 to 33 characters or something else. So, and then it can't convert that back to UTF-8 in the text edit in the keyboard, because it doesn't go, it's not one to one and onto, like it's not, I guess it would still be one to one. One to one is the map from ASCII to UTF-8 is not onto, obviously. It's not surjective. But the point is it's both not one to one, not onto. So the mapping between ASCII and UTF-8, it doesn't convert back to the right UTF-8 or the right Unicode, whatever you want to call it. And so in your text editor, you don't see the Korean characters. If you look at the new code that was added by Karstein 1 nanosecond, the code, this get full text method, which I presume is added to the window message class, loops over chars and parses them. Does some logic on them. And then appends onto the full text character array each new char, as in char variable type, which is encoded in ASCII. So to fix this, it's not like simply like one line of code I have to add. I have to figure out a way to, I have to read through the code base and figure out a way of, instead of querying chars, querying Unicode. And Unicode, likely would not be able to implement this elimination of escape characters code. And so it would come out with escape characters. But just trying to figure out a way to bypass converting from Unicode to ASCII and back to Unicode. Don't take this as gospel. I did not study this very well. I just briefly skimmed it, okay? So I could be totally and completely wrong about this. That's just my guess at this moment that I'm recording this, which is October 1st, 2023 at 5:31 p.m., whatever time zone I'm in. Actually, I can say Pacific time. You already know that because in previous recordings I've talked about Hurricane Hillary or whatever nonsense. So you already know I'm on Pacific time. 5:31 p.m. Pacific time. No longer hidden. I don't work with C++ very often. I did it once when I was doing some undergrad research, and actually I was in grad school at one point. And once at work. So it's like 2 times in my life I've used C++. I'm not a very big C++ person. It's not something I have a lot of experience with, but I can kind of hack at it, right? It's like I am good at C, and I know how object-oriented programming works. So the extra little bit of complication is how exactly it's like the syntax, like how you set up the objects or declare the objects and define the methods and properties in C++. I don't know that, right? So I just have to kind of guess what each thing is. I could easily learn that probably in 3 months, but I haven't bothered. Yes, that's because how do you know about how object-oriented stuff works? I have to work with object-oriented MATLAB a whole bunch. Of course, MATLAB is not a typed language. It's interpretive, but you can still write it using object-oriented concepts, just like you can write Python with using object-oriented concepts and syntax that implements those concepts in your structure. Anyway, so that's what's going on there. I gotta go through the investigation. When I'm done with the investigation, I will have to take a guess as to who the culprit is before I go into the trial. And man, it's terrible. So I can kind of divide the characters into some subcategories. So, we go try to get the first category here. So Teruya, Kanata Inori. So Teruya Otori is the merchant. Kanata Inori, the surgeon. Kakeru Yamaguchi, the lawyer. Yamaguchi is actually sticks in my head really well because of Duolingo. Thanks, Duolingo. I guess those three. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anybody there. Are characters that have a very generic relationship to the murder and the murder situation, and do not have a lot of particular character focus or play really a role in the chapter leading up to the murder. Not only that, they don't really play a big role in the previous chapter either. Their characters haven't had time to be displayed and have reason for them to be there yet. And so it wouldn't make sense to kill any of them off yet. So they're not involved in the situation. They haven't had a chance to display their character. They have had no character focus to the first two chapters. As a result, of course, there's no physical evidence that I remember from the investigation pointing to them being the culprit. So I classify those three out of the 12, but really only 11 candidates for the murder to be the three that are the least likely to be the culprit. And those are the lawyer, Kakeru Yamaguchi, the surgeon, Katana Inori, and the merchant, Teruya Otori. So, next one, Haruhiko Kobashi Kawa. He's very similar to those three, but he has slightly more character focus in that he was used to do the whole man's romance scene. And there's a running gag with him having a nosebleed. So there's a little bit more going on with him. But he's still relatively unlikely, and almost as unlikely as the three I mentioned previously, to be the culprit. Next we have Ima Satsuki, the clown. So, again, she's kind of not much focused, doesn't really play a role, is not used. However, with Ima, she tends to always be using her personality, right? She's not needs to have an instance or a situation in which it's possible for her ultimate talent to be displayed. She's displaying it constantly in every minute of her life. So that allows her to be a little bit more, to make a little bit more sense to kill her off. But also, she had that one scene where she threw a basketball at Haruhiko, and she also showed up late to the kind of that pseudo meeting outside the doors of the dorms right after the morning announcement is made. So that little extra bit makes her slightly more likely to be the culprit than the merchant, the surgeon, the lawyer, or the pilot, but she's still not a very good candidate. Okay, so that's 5 that are on the rather low end. Not to mention the protag Yuki Maeda. It's possible to do a protag murder, but because you have to have the murderer the protag has to be at a location where there is a possible mechanism by which the protag could have committed the murder and not have to tell you. We know where Yuki was at all times, and he wasn't anywhere near the switch room at the time of the murder, or had any mechanism by which he could have committed a murder inside the switch room from outside of it. There's no evidence of any of that. And so Yuki you can rule out the protagonist as well. So Yuki and the original 3 are almost impossible for them to be the culprit. So those 4, almost impossible. The clown and the pilot, slightly more likely, but still very unlikely. So that leaves out of the 12 we have left once we kill off Otori. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I've put at the bottom. That leaves me 6 left. So next we have Ray. Ray is a little bit different than the others in that she has this, secluded nature. However, because if you take a character completely out of the story, essentially, leading up to the murder, I said this with Shozo when I did Blowback, if you remember Blowback. If you watch my Blowback videos. That makes it so that they cannot show their potential either, really. And so they seem to be in the same category, really, as characters just kind of hung around and don't do anything. So similarly how Shozo is very unlikely to be the culprit almost always in the two cases in Blowback. Rei is also very unlikely to be the culprit. She's also had less focus in this chapter than the previous one. She's kind of there. The author has put her on the back burner, set her aside for now, focusing on other characters, and it seems like he plans to bring Rei back in later to do what Rei's job is supposed to be in the story. Rei is like set aside for now, in seeming. And so it's also unlikely, although more likely to be the culprit than the 6 I've already listed, she's still rather unlikely and not a very good choice. It's like the 7th least likely. Next we have Kinji. Kinji is in an almost identical situation to Rei, except what's even worse about Kinji is that Kinji doesn't even have this is so boring, right? For some reason though, Kinji isn't like somebody that you'd prepare. It's like he's not someone you would expect to exist in the endgame as much like Rei does. Rei has some potential that she needs to fulfill. Kinji, not so much. And so that makes Kinji, I think, slightly more likely to be the culprit than Rei. But still not a very good choice. Because that's 8. Okay, so that's 8. We have 4 left, and these are the big 4. So the big 4 are Tsurugi Kinjo, the policeman, Mikako Kurokawa, the exorcist, Ayame Hatano, the sprinter, and Akane Taira, the maid. These characters had more focus and played bigger roles in the leading up to the investigation and the investigation. So, regardless of how we think of their personalities and whether or not they would have done this or not, and other stuff, just by simple meta stuff, these 4 are more in the hot seat and are more likely to be the culprit than the other 8. Right? If we 8 including the protag, I guess 9 including the protag, 7 not including the protag. Because we had 13. We had 13 when we killed Tamori, now we have 12. Because there were 13 secrets, right? The protag, we eliminate the protag, that makes 11. So if you have 4 left, there's 8 left if you include the protag, 7 left if you don't. So I think I can narrow it down to those 4. Akane, the maid, Ayame, the sprinter, Kizuna's dead. Tsurugi, the police, she would be a good candidate if she wasn't dead. Tsurugi, the police officer, and Mikako, the exorcist. There's a lot of problems with a lot of these being the culprit. So the problem with Akane being the culprit is that you just can't imagine it, right? She seems to really love Tamori. So how could she kill her? And the murder, the way the setup is, seems very intentional. It's not like an accident. So, she'd really have to flip. She'd really have to break down. That'd be some real hidden personality under the surface cropping up for Akane to make it sense for Akane to kill Tamori. It's just like a real flip, right? It's a big flip. Now, Linju could have written that. It's not impossible. But you just look at that and you go, how in the world? Again, it's not impossible. She's kind of suspicious because she wasn't at her room at the night when nighttime announcement happened, and her story, as far as it's hard to understand in Korean, but as far as I got from it, she's claimed that she was in the bathroom washing her clothes because she got food on them. It's weird. Her story is kind of weird. That's all I have to say. So she has a little bit going against her. But yeah, it's hard to imagine it would be her, right? Ayame the sprinter. You have a tendency to not think it's Ayame. Because, one, she's the first one to report the incident and tell it to Kinjo. So if it's her that committed the murder, then she would be sort of self-reporting. Again, Danganronpa doesn't really have a precedent for self-reporting. But self-reporting happens, right? It is a technique people try to use. So it doesn't rule out that she was the culprit. The second thing that makes you think Ayame isn't the culprit is because she got hamstrung by the tripwire, and you would tend to think that the tripwire was set by the culprit, and she wouldn't hamstring herself. She would take, like, that's just an unnecessary amount. It's like something at least the culprit wouldn't go to in order to convince everybody that they didn't do it. But again, it's not impossible to do that twist. You can make it so that she was trying so hard to get away with it, she did something horrible to herself that to make it look like, no one would ever do this to themselves, right? To try to convince people that she wasn't the culprit and make it look like that's something the culprit would do. It's possible. So none of these two things, her being the reporter of the scene in the incident and her own injury, rule out that she's the culprit. They make it seem like she wouldn't be, though. It's possible to write the twist that she does. She seems like suspicious to me, like after I think about it. Ayame seems kind of sus. Especially like we don't know why she was still up there. And why she went to the control room. Because she likes to work out in the gym. I guess like how you would think of it is maybe she smelled some scent wafting. Like she smelled something that seemed to be coming from the control room. Because when things burn, they smell, right? Or saw some smoke, maybe trickling out something. But we haven't heard that being said by Ayame herself. Next we have the policeman Kinjo. Now, the reason I really don't think it's Kinjo, and the main reason is because whoever made this build may have spoiled me by leaving save files where it almost like you play as Kinjo at some point at L7, whatever L means, right? So my save is at save slot 9, right? L2, which seems to be after chapter 2. L7 might be like chapter 7 or something. There seems to be like some spoilers that were given to me by whoever made this build that Kinjo survives a very long time. So it's mainly just because I sort of vaguely maybe perhaps have been spoiled that it's not Kinjo. But you do tend to think it's not Kinjo, just because Kinjo was seemingly honestly revealing a lot of details about the process of the discovery of the body. But even if those details were true, he could have still been the culprit, right? He obviously could have lied, but even if he didn't lie, he could still be the culprit. He just didn't include that in the details, because his story starts when Otano tells him about the incident, right? I just don't have, I'm feeling it's not Kinjo. I just have this feeling it's not Kinjo, right? It's like, you also would think it's not Kinjo because even though it's Tomori that got me murdered, Kinjo would not murder anybody, right? Oh, but it would have been a would-be murderer. I was doing it to protect y'all. Yeah, sent you all into a class trial to protect you all. I get myself killed to protect you all, because I'll be executed at the end if I really did protect you all. Yeah, really makes sense. So I don't think it's Kinjo. But again, he's like in the top 4, right? He's more likely to do it than other people who are not in the top 4. And lastly in the top 4, we have Mikako. Now, Danganronpa, even though it's not Ace Attorney, where you have these defined roles like, this is the judge, he sits on the judge's seat. This is the defending lawyer, he sits in the defense's stand. This is the prosecutor, he stands behind the prosecutor's podium. This is the accused, and you have to do a turnabout and accuse someone else. But sometimes in the trials, characters, even sometimes temporarily, tend to take on these roles sort of naturally in a way. There's like always the red herring character, which is the character that the other characters think did it going into it. Like, for example, Makoto in the first case of Trigger Happy Havoc. As long as you can do weird variations of that. Like, yes, Byakuya was the accused going into the second case of Trigger Happy Havoc. It was a really weird kind of accused. So sometimes there's like two accused, like the fourth case of Trigger Happy Havoc. But there seems to be always like this accused, or this character that people think did it going into it. I can list off, I think, them for like all the cases, right? I presume if you're watching me do this Let's Play, you've probably already watched Let's Plays, or at least played the original Danganronpa. So you do this without spoiling things you don't know. If you do know, well, you should have already clicked off of this. Okay, if you don't know, you should have already clicked off of this and gone to play Danganronpa. So, 1-1, Makoto. 1-2, Byakuya. He's a weird case of it, but he's the one that fits, right? 1-3, the fortune teller guy, Yasuhiro, right? 1-4, Yasuhiro again, and also, his name is really iconic. Toko. Toko also was a red herring, was an accused in Chapter 2 as well, in a different kind of way. Chapter 4, it was, I think, the one that counts the most. No, Chapter 5, sorry. Oh, because I already did Chapter 4. Chapter 5, the one that's like the most like that is, I think, Hiyoko. She's like the one that Junko is trying to pin it on, was Hiyoko. Not Hiyoko. Wrong game. Kyoko. There you go. 1-2. No, 2-1. It's Furiohiko, first of all. But then after Furiohiko, then, how can I not remember this guy's name? Mr. Hope. Anyway. Mr. Lucky Hope guy. They tend to be more of like an accused, right? 2-2. I'm trying to remember what this one was. Oh yeah. Kyoko. Well, it is Hiyoko this time. Hiyoko. 2-3. 2-3 is a hard one, because they mostly, I don't think 2-3 really has an accused. Really. Maybe that's an exception. That's the one where there isn't an accused. If I remember correctly. There gotta be some red herring, though. 2-4. This is like so much time solving it out, right? So 2-4 doesn't really have an accused as well. That's an interesting one. 2-5 is another quandary. It doesn't have an obvious accused. However, you would be distracted in 2-5 by the princess. For some reason, names always slip my mind. Sonia. You would tend to, you could bite off on Sonia accidentally going into 2-5. 2-1, it's 3-1, what's his face? The entomologist guy. Gonta. Yes. 2-2, I really don't know. Mew is accused at some point in that one. I actually forget who it is in 2-2. I guess I don't know them all. Oh, obviously, it's the magician. Yes, magician in 2-3. 2-2. 2-3, he's actually a magician again at some point. 2-4, honestly it's Kokichi probably. 2-5, what's her face? Maki, right? So there's always someone who sits in like the accused stand. Takes that role. There's also someone who tends to be the prosecutor, right? For example, in the first case of V3, right? The maid, Kurumi comes out swinging at Gota from the start, right? And then it kind of switches roles, and the tennis player starts accusing the detective, Mr. Suichi, right? Suichi. So they tend to come out and take prosecutorial roles. In Blowback, Kobachikawa, Terei Kobachikawa tends to be very prosecutorial. And the first game, in Trigger Happy Havoc, Byakuya, when he's not doing his funky stuff in Chapter 2, tends to be very prosecutorial. Tends to bark up the wrong tree and accuse the accused. So they tend to take on that role of prosecutor. The defense person tends to be the protag. They tend to take this, then to convince everybody that the person who's accused is not the culprit, and then convince them of who the true culprit is. The judge, they're always like the naive characters that sit around and just like always buy off on what the latest, or accept the latest idea presented by the prosecutor, the defense, and type of characters. So it's kind of like the dumber characters that tend to kind of act like the judge. Now, Danganronpa does have a role that isn't really the case, isn't really there so much in Ace Attorney, but the closest match in Ace Attorney is the assistant. Well, it's going to be like the point person who seems to sometimes always know everything from the start, but for some weird reason, always wants it to be the protagonist who is their mouthpiece and speaks instead of them. And so they don't really speak up. So Kijo tends to act somewhat like that in this game. Ray tends to act like somewhat like that in this game as well. Sometimes they're not really like they know it, but they tend to like present good logic to use to help good ideas to help figure out who the culprit is. Like maybe Misako in Blowback, right? Another character like this who doesn't seem to maybe necessarily always know the answer, but kind of guides the protag forward, like the assistant does in Ace Attorney, would be the gamer. What's the super high school level gamer called? Oh my goodness, I forget all of these names. Anyway, it's a really iconic name, but I forgot anyway. She acts like kind of that kind of point person. Unlike someone like Kyoko, who always like knows it, right? Kinjo, who knows it. Nagito, that's the name of the luck guy, Hope luck guy, tends to know it, right? So, different kinds of that. So, where did I go with all that rant that took like got this half an hour in? Well, Kikako in this one is going in as the accused. She's taken up that role. She's coming in as the defense, as the defendant. And because of that, that makes her less, because the pattern of writing Danganronpa, you bring about a turnabout, right? It's very unlikely for the accused to turn out to be the culprit. Which makes it, and also, they gotta do something with Mikako. Now, the thing with, they have to do something with Mikako, they could do that thing right here, right now at this trial. They have an opportunity. It isn't necessarily too soon. As a result, she's not guaranteed to be the culprit right now. Not guaranteed to be off the hook. But that's kind of the reason why she doesn't seem to be, she's not the best choice, right? So, Mikako is not the best choice because she's coming in as the defendant. She is coming in as the accused. But there are some Ace Attorney characters where the accused actually did Ace Attorney cases, so what do you know? Doesn't rule her out. Just kind of is a resistive force to her being the culprit. Akane, just how she killed Tomori? Really? But she's a little bit suspicious though. It doesn't rule it out. Ayame, she hamstrung herself? maybe a different person besides the culprit put that wire there to trap the culprit. So it's not necessarily guaranteed to make it so that she isn't the culprit. Also, she could have self-reported, right? And also, Kinjo, you wouldn't think he did it because he seems to be sincere. He doesn't seem to be lying, making stuff up. He seems to have something he's going to do later in the game. Spoilers that are on my screen, but I'm just guessing at what this screen means. I don't know exactly what it means, and so it doesn't completely rule him out. So I have these four that I'm like jumping between. All of them have good reasons not to suspect them that don't completely and utterly rule them out, but almost guarantee that there's going to be some crazy twist. So the only thing I can really be sure of right now is that this trial is going to have some crazy harebrained twist. The answer is not obvious. And I'm going to have to pick one of those four before I go into the trial. And I only have a 25% chance of being right, really. Okay, let's grab my save, and we're going to progress the story through the investigation. I'm going to try to read quickly. Man, I got hungry all of a sudden. Today, Monokuma delivered, and they were our secrets, but it was all a useless joke. Is there some hidden meaning? Oh yeah, I forgot about the secrets. So the secrets are going to definitely have something to do, are going to be of some help on guessing who the culprit is. So we know that Tomori herself revealed that she had Otori's secret. So we can't really say that they killed her because the character killed Tomori because they knew that Tomori had their secret. Right? That's because she didn't have anybody's secret. That is the big importance, right? She just had Otori's secret. Teruya Otori's secret, which was just like he would sleep with his dad or he would pee the bed, one or the other. Depends on who translated it, right? So that's that makes things really complicated. We know that Kinju drew wait a second, I said Kinju drew Otori's. Why would he? That's weird. Kinju didn't draw Otori's. Kinju drew someone else's. He drew Yamaguchi's. Yeah, he drew Yamaguchi's. So we know what secret Kinjo had, right? It was Yamaguchi's. It wasn't significant. So no, and more importantly, it wasn't Yuki's. So Yuki's at the crime scene wouldn't directly come from Kinjo. It tends to rule Kinjo out. I think out of these four, I think Kinjo is the one that's least likely. We're starting to rule Kinjo out here. Okay, Rei looked at it, we know Rei saw the one she was reading, but she claimed the one she saw seemed insignificant to her. Now, I will say, Rei's personality will make her tend to say a lot of things are insignificant. So just because Rei says it's insignificant to her, may not necessarily mean it would be insignificant to other characters. But she claimed it was like a joke and didn't mean anything. So we would I would presume that really means the author is just telling us, despite all of this, about Rei's personality, that really you don't have to worry about it. The one Rei drew wasn't significant. Don't worry about it, player. So, and then Yuhara, Kinji Yuhara shows, Mikako, first of all, Mikako, there is some suggestion that Mikako looked at the secret that she drew. But it's only a suggestion. It's not clear. Like when Kinjo, did you look at yours? Because he tended to make the assumption that the player would make. That maybe she thinks the secrets are dangerous because of the specific one that she read. And Mikako didn't say no, she just says, it's a hunch of mine. I just feel that this is going to be really dangerous, which is communicating to the player that the motive, the secrets are a big part of the murder, which we would expect that anyway, though, because that's how it always is in Danganronpa. And then we tend to forget afterwards. So she may have looked at it, she may have not, but there was a suggestion that Mikako may have looked at hers. The rest was a suggestion that Yuhara might have looked at his as well, or the one that he got as well, but it's a less of a suggestion than with Mikako, and it's just a suggestion. We don't know for sure that he looked. We also know, we know what Mikako's secret is, and that Mikako's secret is not significant. However, just because the secret that Monokuma put in the jar is not significant doesn't mean that the characters necessarily know which secret Monokuma is sharing about them. And so, like, Monokuma doesn't necessarily have to put real significant secrets in the jar or in the hat, as long as one of the characters has a real significant secret that they think Monokuma would have put in the hat is enough, right? Potentially to cause some issues. So Mikako may have a significant secret. It's just that Monokuma did not put her secret in that one particular in the hat. But Mikako doesn't know that. And we didn't tell Mikako that we read her secret and what it was. We just read it and threw it away. But we can rule out Yuki's secret from being the one that Kinjo draw and Kinjo only. And if Yuki's secret was somehow really significant, which we think it probably would be because it was found at the crime scene, then if the one that Ray drew was not significant, then she probably did not draw that one either. Okay, so, but if Tomori did not draw Yuki's secret because she drew Atori's secret, then the secret probably came from the secret came from the culprit and not Otori. Not Otori, sorry, not Tomori. Does that really help me narrow down who the culprit is? Well, it tends to make me roll out Kinjo a bit. But as far as Mikako, Akane, and Ayame are concerned, it's hard. Because the only one of those three that seemed to look at their secret, that it really could have looked at those secret was Mikako. So I guess maybe, but Mikako's role, like the niche she put herself in, is like I got a bad feeling that this is going to cause some problem. That's not a role that you put the culprit in. And so it kind of boosts her in the rankings of more likely to be the culprit, but also pushes her down at the same time. And in the end, it really doesn't help me that much. Okay, let me keep hitting the... Let me go here. Is there some hidden meaning? If not, is he playing with us? Surely it was the day after Monokuma gave the motive that Maki died a few days ago, but now it's different. Compared to that time, the motives are insignificant, and our bond must have deepened. Yes, let's trust everyone. Believe in everyone in order to get out together. Hello, everyone. It's morning, 7 a.m. Rise and shine, Ursine. So let's go about this day energetically. Morning. Okay, I should tell them something about Tomori at breakfast. Or tell them what I saw about Tomori at breakfast. Everyone, compared to yesterday, seem less energetic. Somehow, I am a little nervous. It was such garbage, but after the motive came out, I wondered if someone was going to kill. For now, it seems that all of us are safe. When you have such unsettling thoughts, real bad things are bound to happen. It'll be fine, let's just act like we usually do. Yes, at least not many will die, because I'll keep you safe. But what did everyone do with the paper Mr. Monokuma gave us yesterday? I didn't see it and just threw it in the trash. Her sprite's kind of like, me too. I'm not curious, and it's something someone would rather keep for themselves. Did everyone throw it away? I threw away mine too, seeing something like that. It just makes you feel real bad about them. It seems everyone threw them, but I can't say that I saw mine alone. It didn't really matter anyway, so I'll just pretend I don't know. Alright, breakfast is almost over. Let's do our best investigating today. Wait. Everyone, can you hold on 1 minute? Why? We're gonna talk about something you don't care about, Kinji. Or Kinjo. Not Kinji, they're different. I have something to tell everyone. You know, right, Maeda-kun? Oh, it's about Tomori, right? Tomori? What about Tomori? Actually, yesterday, while I was going back to my private room with Maeda-kun, this was before nighttime, we saw Kazuna-chan alone. But Kazuna-chan was crying. Crying? She said she was lonely. She didn't mean to be, as if trying to accept it, she was crying. Tomori? What, that girl? She was feeling lonely? Really? I thought she was pretending to be strong! Certainly, Tomori was. She was different from Makaru, who really hates us, and Yuhara, who doesn't give up on his own will. She looked hesitant. Then that gal, she was bluffing and suffering, alone in her heart. I don't believe Kazuna. That's a good some of these translations are. I don't think I would have been. The translations of Otori actually seem pretty good. I'll give the person who translated this credit for that. I don't believe Kizuna-chan should be left alone like this. So why don't we try to convince Kizuna-chan? Yes, if we all persuade her together, she can definitely hang out with us. That girl, she's feeling lonely for sure. Okay, let's go together. Not only Tomori, Makaru and Yuhara will also be able to be with us someday. Let's find Tomori together. Kinju-kun, this time I won't back down, no matter what you say. Kazuna-chan is alone. I knew that Tomori was in conflict about leaving us. Fine, let's accept Tomori as an ally. I'll go with you. Kinju-kun, you knew? What's this change of face? That clogged Kinjo is being persuaded. Hey, what kind of person do you think I was? Do you see me as wicked? That's what Google Translate told me as well. Kinda. Even if they went out voluntarily, if they sincerely repent of their mistakes, I'm willing to accept them again. But I've seen it myself, and if they were in a bad mood, I'll pretend like nothing happened. Yes, then let's all go together. Everyone gathered their strength, and even Kinjo decided to persuade Tomori with us. Let's find Tomori. Or together it would work. Together it would work as well. We dispersed and looked around the school. And finally, Tomori was found in the gym by Yamaguchi. Kazuna-chan, here you are. What, you guys coming as a group? That's so annoying, you know. Guess we're gonna pin you in. Kazuna-chan, we came here together because we have something to say to you. Something to say, is it? What? What else do you want to say to me? Kazuna-chan, you don't have to investigate if you don't want to. But you still want to be with us? Ha! Having breakfast together, even if we do research, it's more fun if we do it together. What are you saying? You told me to get out, now you're telling me to come back? Kinjo was the one who said that. Yes, certainly. I told anyone who wouldn't obey me to get out, and you got out. Yeah, I said I left because I didn't want to see you guys. However, I only said that those who are willing to kill should leave the group. I never told it to someone who shed tears and was feeling loneliness. Miss Tomori, we heard you were crying because you were feeling lonely, and that you couldn't tell anyone, crying in your own solitude. I apologize. I should have done something sooner. Wait a minute. How do you guys... Maeda-kun and I saw it last night. I'm sorry, we didn't mean to sneak, but seeing you like that, I could not leave you in that state. What's that? When did I ever cry? Hey, Tomori, stop being stubborn. We already know everything. But why are you so pretentious? Be honest, you should open up your heart. You guys don't know anything. I'm not pathetic enough to feel sad or lonely. Do you know who I am? I'm called the Lucky Girl. All male students call me the Queen, and I'm the object of admiration. Let us glorify, let us magnify the pimp. You know what else, do you? Coming here, being treated the same as everyone else, even hearing bitter comments. And now following orders. You guys think I can withstand such a thing? You. Yeah, Kinjo wouldn't like you if he knew you. What's wrong? Are you gonna convince me? Everyone must already be thinking I'm unlucky. So that means I can't get along with you guys anymore. No one thinks that. What is this? We don't know how Kizuna-chan has lived up until now. Kizuna-chan is a precious friend. What do you mean, friend? You all kicked me out. I'm sorry, huh? I apologize, I didn't know Kizuna-chan's feelings. I didn't know anything until now, and I only thought about you. So please stop being stubborn. We're going to tell each other everything we can. I don't know how much we can go, but there is still a future. We can be friends, surely. I won't make Kizuna-chan lonely anymore. Friends. You know, Tomodachi. Except that's Japanese, it's not Korean. Chingu. It's Korean, I believe. Friends we can be. Of course, everyone feels the same way. Let's be good friends, Miss Tomori. Or Tomori-san. You don't have to bear it alone anymore. Why don't we work it out together? Hey, it's not like you need to keep quiet and shed tears like that. It doesn't suit you. You're a bit squeaky, but sometimes that's fine. Stupids. Baka no. Who would be happy for something like this? But, sorry. I'm sorry for being stubborn. Please take good care of me once again. Tomori finally showed us a heartfelt smile. Whether everyone's sincerity was conveyed, Tomori looked more beautiful than usual, and felt more friendly and warm than before. Having regained a new colleague, we made our new resolution and decided to continue the investigation with more enthusiasm than ever. Now even Monokuma isn't scary. Everyone is here, even Tomori. Tomori, who is so stubborn, finally was able to act together. Someday Mikaro and Yuhara will definitely work with us. With that promise in mind, we resumed the investigation. Afternoon. Oh no, there's another free time event slot. Okay, we're gonna click through Yamaguchi. I guess that's what I'm gonna do again. I'm not gonna bother, like, trying to do text extracting things anymore. Because I just figured that it's just not gonna work, so. I don't want to spend the time messing with the Unicode. I like to be systematic, though. So I like to stick with the character. He's always in there. Such a boring character. It's not going to be fun dealing with his free time events. I'll do a Kane on a Kane's more important. Okay, let's go to the second floor. Not quite an hour yet. Just trying to, like, blast the investigation. Okay, there you are. There he is. Yeah, let's give him something. Let's see. Handbook. Handcuffs, cosmetics, model airplane, game machine, encyclopedia. Give him some protein. Okay, he looks like he likes protein. Okay. Okay, we're getting an event. I just like not spamming to it too fast, just so that like the people who can actually read Korean, if they're watching this, can like pause the video. It's not like enough times you can read each one, but like you can pause the video and read it, right? I was like, I care, like, you know, like occasionally see these words like namja is showing up quite a bit. So the word for man is showing up quite a bit in this. Word for friend showed up. Namja, you know, I assume is a variation on namja. Chingu showed up. The vocabulary here doesn't seem that complex, but I'm not going to be able to get enough of the words to actually understand any of these sentences. Okay. End of the page. Here we go to the investigation. Phew, I'm tired. It's hard to do investigations without any gain energy at all. Not gain, but it seems to be getting more and more rewarding. I have more friends to be with. Today, Tamori broke her stubbornness and finally showed her true feelings. Tamori, who became a friend in her true self. She was rude and slanderous as usual, but it feels like she was joking, not malicious about it. Something seems to brighten up the mood with Tamori. Is it because she's a cheerleader? Also, Kobashi Kawa was going to die suddenly because he said too much about her. Ha 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 ha. Somehow it feels like the death of Higa and Maki was a long time ago. At that time, despair came suddenly without notice, and I was really unable to keep my sanity. Unexpectedly, hope seemed to come suddenly too. Our bonds with everyone. Tamori's joining. I didn't feel anything remarkable during investigation, but it seems that we could be more forward with more and more hope. Oh, I should sleep soon. Manu Akuma will be doing a nighttime announcement soon. Indeed, hope or despair, they both come successfully. So sudden, it feels wrong. Oh, they both come suddenly. It's always like that.
Hello, it is 10 p.m. Soon it will be nighttime, so the dining hall will be closed. It's what I'd want to say, as usual. A body has been discovered! After some time, the class trial will begin.
Huh? Wait a minute. What did Monokuma say? It's a joke, right? A body was discovered? Monokuma surely is joking. A joke? What am I saying? I know perfectly well what this means. No way. It can't be. Something is wrong. I can't believe that. Night. Okay, these are the ones, guys. These are the ones that are here. Guys, Aida. Yeah, so going to affirm Akane is not here. What was that just now? Body? Did you say like a dead body? I didn't hear the wrong. Wait, guys, is this everyone? Makaru and Yuharu aside. What about Kinjo, Taira, Hatano, Iranami? Iranami being... hold on. That name's getting me. Oh, that's she's the clown. Okay, the clown and the exorcist. Okay, so okay. You forgot about Tomori. Did they went to sleep already? That's not likely. Nighttime just begun. Everyone would have heard the broadcast while sleeping, right? I'm here, because she's a little late. Why are you so late? I was so worried. That was because I was alone in the corner of the room. Or the corner of the hallway. By the way, what's the fuss about it? A body was discovered. Monokuma. What? What do? What should we do? No, there's just no Kinjo to control everyone. There's no Kurokawa who has the power to speak in unexpected situations. For now, I have no choice but to check the situation ourselves. Guys, let's ignore Monokuma and let's find out the missing people. Or find the missing people. Let's make sure that happens first, okay? Let's do that. Please, nothing is happening. Monokuma must be messing around. I want to believe that too, but this anxiety, it's the same as when Maki died. We should find the others, that's the priority. There is no one in the student dormitory. Damn it. Where is everyone else? I don't think anything happened on the first floor. Is it on the second floor? I heard a scream upstairs. Damn it. Right, who screamed? I mean, the body died 30 minutes ago. The person died 30 minutes ago. So this was Mikako? Oh, they're talking already. Kurokawa, are you okay? Kurokawa, what happened just now? Power room. Inside the power room. Go. Power room, what happened in the power room? Training room and library are cleared. But I think I heard a scream from in the power room. See what Akane made it in. Kinjo! Kinjo, what the hell is going on? A corpse, huh? Corpse? It's my mistake. I am sorry. What are you saying? Huh? I don't understand this. Control room. Go to the control room. Damn it. I gotta calm down. Hatano. Why? Why again? Why now? Why? Taira, you're safe? My Anakin, what should I do? What should I do? Taira is no state to talk right now. Yuhara. It's heartbreaking. It just happened again. Mekaru. Incompetent. It's you? Tell me, how? What happened here? It's right in front of you. Make sure to check it with your own eyes. The control room. The room's lighting is broken and nothing can be seen, but this is certainly the source of the commotion. Nothing. I can't see anything. But this smell. The unpleasant smell of blood. Reality was increasingly developing into the worst situation imaginable. Hey, incompetent. Use this. It's a flashlight from the warehouse. I was handed a flashlight with a trembling hand. Without looking back at Makaru and shining a light inside the switch room, hoping that my imagination was wrong. However, it is said that a sinister premonition fits better than good premonitions. I already knew. Since the time of the BDA was released, Body Discovery Announcement, BDA, and there was only one person who we haven't met after coming this far. It was only here that I could meet them. It is already, no, but she wasn't in this world anymore. Blood, blood, blood. The color of the room, which met a light for the first time, was painted with pure blood. At the source of where all this comes from, the body of Tomori Kizuna, the ultimate cheerleader. How much time has passed? Without even realizing that, my throat was screaming. Suddenly I woke up and saw everyone gathered in the power room. Ah, Tomori. My god, Tomori really died. This is a dream. This is a dream. This isn't a dream. It is reality. One of us killed Tomori Kizuna. Wait a minute, someone killed... What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You already know what you've been through. When Maki Hyoka died. Someone here killed in order to escape from here. It can't be. I'm sorry, everyone. I promise not to have any more victims. I couldn't protect them. That's right, Kinjo-kun. You said you would protect everyone if we obey your orders, right? Why did this happen? Oh, I'm sorry. You're sorry, that's all? Kizuno-chan is really dead. She won't come back anymore. Calm down. It's not the time for us to fight each other. Wait, if Tomori was really killed, then it started? What's it? The class trial, she means. Isn't that right, Monokuma?
Yeah! Since Miss Tomori was murdered, as I said in the announcement earlier, we will hold a class trial after a certain amount of time.
Monokuma, you bastard!
Well, I know, I left the murder to personal freedom, but would you like to refrain from killing at night like this? It's not very fun.
Shut up, there can be no killer among us. No, there is a culprit in our group. Miss Yuhara, don't run away from reality. We must do this. Haven't we experienced it once? We will all die if we don't find the culprit. Yeah, that's right. It's shocking. It's so shocking that I don't even have the strength to stand. If we don't find them, we die.
Yuhara-kun has neatly organized what I wanted to say.
So, you showed up. You're gonna give it to us, right?
That's right. Monokuma file number 2. I came to deliver it. Or came to pass it out.
2?
It's 2 because it's the second time. I'll put it next to Tomori's body. Now then, the night is pretty late, so let's finish it quick. I'll see you later, everybody.
This Monokuma thing, treating people as fools. Everyone, I know you're confused and sad in many ways right now, but we should do some investigation for now. Do you want to investigate in this situation? I want to say I don't want to, but do we have any choice? We have choice? We don't have a choice, do we? I don't want to die yet. If you want to live, all you can do is investigate. Yeah, let's put our each other's thoughts aside until we figure out the culprit. Solving this case is the first thing to do right now. I feel so bad for Tomori. She just opened her heart to us, wanted to become friends. What? That woman opened her heart to you people? Oh, Mikara wasn't with us, so you didn't know. Kizuna-chan, she was feeling lonely inside. She was being stubborn. After we persuaded her to notice that, we tried to open our hearts and become friends. How can it be like this? I don't know why. Tomori Kizuna opened up to you guys? Mikaru, if you're feeling lonely, you can join us as much as you want. Well, not right now, though. You better wake up. The day I hang out with you won't come ever. Even if the universe is destroyed. It's a waste of time. Let's just start investigating. It's not the destruction of the Earth, but the destruction of the universe. We don't have time for this. Let's start investigating quickly. I will apologize for not protecting Tomori as many times as I can after the class trial is over. Kinjo, a minute, please. What? Me and Makaru decided not to cooperate with you. However, can I accompany you during the investigation for the class trial? I was going to ask about it. Since there has been a murder, it will be easier to find out the truth of the case, even if a small number of people cooperate to investigate it. Shouldn't we begin already? Too much time has passed. We have no choice but to do it. Yeah. We have to do it. Yeah, it's painful, but it's all the same. The reality that has already happened doesn't change. And if we don't do anything for this, we will all follow Tomori's fate. Even a little, we have to get to the truth. I have to. I have to do it. The culprit who murdered Tomori, who barely opened up to us. The culprit, we need to find them. Deadly life, right? No, it's his investigation. Okay, it's supposed to be deadly life. Once the others brought a lamp, I started to see a little more in the room. But what in the world happened here? Are these signs of a fire? Why was there a fire here? I don't know. I don't really know myself. I'll have to gather information about it while talking with the others. Let's start with what I can do. Like last time, we should check the Monokuma file first, right? The victim is Tomori Kizuna. The estimated time of death was about 9:30 p.m. Found in the switch room located in the power room, on the second floor of the school. There is a long torn wound on her stomach and massive bleeding. The cause of death is a cut through the esophagus caused by a knife. A cut through the esophagus? That's not how Google Translate translated it. It was way more technical. Is this it? This is too little information. However, at 9:30, it was about 30 minutes away before the nighttime announcement. At that time, it was impossible to go back to the private room and enter after killing and cleaning up. Then the people who had been in the dormitory during the BDA, including me, have an alibi. But if we think about it, something is weird. Makaru and Yuhara were fine, but why weren't the others in the dorms at that time? We decided to leave our rooms at night, so we stayed near the dorms even after 9 p.m. in the last few days. And the place where Tomori died is the school area, which is also deep within the switch room on the second floor power room. I'll have to talk to the others who weren't at the dorms during the BDA. Okay. Can I leave? I first need to finish looking inside the switch room. There seems to be more clues left around. Okay, fine. Let's do the people. This was no joke. Was all was burned? Yeah, it still smells like something burning. But this is an important place, so if you break it, it's a big deal, right? It's such a mess. Let's worry about that later and do our investigation first. Yeah, you're right. Maeda. Inori, are you doing an autopsy? Yeah, Kinjo took over, but I'm going to work hard. He took over? What do you mean? Well, he said he had something to check out and went somewhere else. When I was doing Maki's, we made the autopsy together. So he didn't take over, he left me alone. What did you check? Also, how about we confirm things together? What to say? It's a terrible amount of blood loss. Humans have excessive amount of bleeding when about 1/3 of the blood volume flows out. This is not around 1/3, as you can see. It's amazing even that this amount of blood came out. So I guess it's like half. Neck wounds are definitely fatal, but it would have self-coagulated to some extent after the heart stops. The amount of bleeding should have gradually decreased. That means, are you saying something caused the mass bleeding? No, I can't confirm this with just my opinion. But if your blood pressure is high, then there'd be a lot of bleeding, that much I know. In simpler terms, there are individual differences. Well, there is a lot of bleeding in this case, meaning it must have taken a while before she died. Thanks to that, Tomori felt a terrible pain before drawing her last breaths. Was that a Freudian slip? I hope not. Who could have planned such a horrible murder? So there is a killer among us in this case too. Like that time with Tiga, are we going to doubt each other again and accuse people? Yes, we will. I think this has to be done. I know it's painful. I won't force you, but if you don't want to, but if we don't, that means we'll have no choice but to give up our lives. Yeah, I know. Sorry for the negativity. I'll work hard for their sake. As for my results of the autopsy, what I found out, the abnormal amount of blood loss. Oh, and the time of death does match the time of the Monokuma file. That's good enough information to help. Thank you, Inori. It's okay. You're welcome, Aida. I'll check Tomori in more detail in case I missed something. It's like, did they squeeze her or something? I haven't figured out how that pertains to anything. Like, so more blood flowed out than you would think would happen. Yes, like she was drained or squeezed or something. Inori is having it difficult too, but she is steadily fighting the desperate situation on our hands. Let's do our best. I need to find out the truth. Excessive blood lost. Okay. Tomori. Clearly she prefers others. Oh, and tried to hit on the guys. Prefers others is probably not a good translation. But she too in her heart wanted to change, and we were getting to know her too. She didn't deserve this. Not only that, although it was bitter, we were always cheerful with Tomori. The tension went up in a good sense, bringing energy to everyone. Dear Lord, she really didn't deserve this. So then why? Why did you end up this way? I have no time to grieve. There's a lot of things that I need to investigate in order to find out the truth. It was the same time with Maki, but... Tomori, I'm sorry for intruding. I'm really sorry. I gotta touch some spots. Tomori's body looked terrible. The whole body is bloody. As shown in the Monokuma file, the stomach and neck had stab wounds. The wound in the neck was still bleeding a little, and thanks to that, there was a bloody smell all over the room. The knife stabbed in the neck must have been the murder weapon at first glance. It seems that this time the killer did not dispose of the weapon, or didn't feel the need to go back for it. But this knife, it's a kitchen knife. Does that conclude that the weapon could not have been from anywhere but in the kitchen? I'll have to check the kitchen later. But he doesn't get to. That's the funny thing. And there's one more question about Tomori's body. The wound down the stomach. The culprit ended her breathing by stabbing Tomori in her neck, or killed her. The file also stated the fatal wound was in that location as well. If so, that's the reason for the stomach. What's the reason for the stomach wound? If we think of a possibility, they stabbed in the stomach and then stabbed her right away on the neck, or she was stabbed in the neck in a second attack after she fell down here. This is a crafty killer. I really don't know in detail because I don't have the specialized knowledge. Inori might know something, and I should consult with Kinjo as well. If I were the culprit, uselessly increasing the wounds could leave more traces behind. There has to be a reason for the stomach wound. Anything more on the body to be found? If I take a look, the time Tomori died is around 9:30 p.m. So whoever doesn't have an alibi for that time is a prime suspect. I'll ask the others about it and find out. It's time to move. What's this? Something is broken. Is this a broken flashlight? Actually, there are two broken flashlights here. These must have been Tomori's and the culprits. Even with the flashlight, you need to turn on the dark switch. Which could have been Tomori, right? Then how did the culprit manage to navigate without being noticed? Well, why are these broken? Was there a reason to break them, or... That translation was bad. That's an example of a bad translation. But I remember I had a hard time translating this investigation stuff as well. There's a piece of cloth that I see for the first time, but that's not the important issue. It's bloody. I don't know where this came from, but it's bloody, so it must have been related to the crime, right? It's a little burned, but it's enough to cover a human body. Yeah, maybe the killer stabbed Tomori and she was bleeding, so they used the cloth to prevent the gush out, to like clot the Tamori suffered a lot of blood loss, so they had to contain it at the time of the murder. Of course, the cause of that was the neck wound. With a throat cut, they had to act fast, as it would drip on the floor with every second. Preventing the blood from splashing, that's quite premeditated from the murder. Suddenly, when I turned over the piece of cloth, I was able to discover a few things under it. This is a lighter, a cheap compact lighter that was used to light a small fire. It doesn't necessarily have the firepower to create a huge one. However, the fact that this lighter was here means this must have caused something, caused beginning of it, so it's natural to say that there should be some traces of being used in the room. Besides, it's not just that. The lighter was covered under the cloth together with another object. There's a crumpled paper here. Let's see. Is this thing again? Yeah, it's like Japanese for some reason, even though this game was written in Korean. I couldn't read the contents properly because it was almost burned up. It was difficult to recognize any words at all, but I can read Gamo on the second line. It ends with E. I knew where this paper came from. The secret note Monokuma told us about. That Monokuma told us was a motive and shared with everyone. There's also, what's this? This is Yuki Maeda. Might be. It's my secret note, huh? Why is this at the scene of the crime? The contents are almost burned up, but I don't know what my secret written in here is. Fine, but if it's a shameful secret to me, then there are so many things. No way. Again, this motive caused another murder? Let's think about this for a moment. Did Tomori pick up my note? No, wait, she didn't. She picked up... With what rights do you even base that on? I'll look anyways. This is really useless information. Who would want to know this? It's a joke after all. What its our motives are for? Shut up. If you're old enough, you shouldn't be sleeping with your dad. Or if you're that old, you shouldn't be sleeping with your dad. You're a mess. Okay, but how in the blazes did they find that out? The secret that Tomori picked up was Otori's. So there's one possibility left. The culprit picked up my secret. It's possible they created the fire in order to destroy the evidence and burn everything. But the weird thing is, was my secret going to kill someone that much? It can't be. Even thought there was embarrassing secret. Even though there were I had embarrassing secrets. There was no secret that would have motivated someone to commit a murder. I'll take it. Maybe I'll find something out later. Right, this is what I've been concerned about from before. There's a long line of something running along the wall of the control room. Oh, it's a fuse, right? It actually broke it in the middle, cut with a knife. No, rather it's a burnt mark. The fire in the control room was the fuse. There could be a relation, right? When someone triggers the fire inside the switch room through the fuse, was this the cause? Who, for what reason? Perhaps the killer did it, but I got no idea why. This is what stands out the most at the scene of the incident. The glass window is broken. I didn't know because it was dark, but through the window you can see the power room. The glass window on the power room was this one then, the window for the control room. But this window was broken for some reason. Did the culprit kill Tomori and break out through the window? There's a possibility. Break this window and come out from the side where the equipment is, then go straight through the door where it leads to the exit, the door of the second floor corridor. But I don't know if I were to go straight out the hallway. Anyway, if I was going to leave the power room to the entrances of the control room, what's the reason of breaking the glass if not for being used as an escape? If you think about it, it's not possible. Going to the control room to the entrance using the window, going through the control room to the entrance using the window as an escape route, because if someone heard the noise from the power room, it would have been a matter of time before being discovered. Besides, breaking the window would have made extra noise. Right, so the window was not broken by escaping. It was broken by some sort of electrical nonsense fire stuff, I would presume. I wouldn't have broken glass for no reason. for now, let's leave it as a reference for later. I think I got it all. Except for this blood. Is this blood stain? But what is this? This seems odd, right? Tamori's body is clearly deep in the control room. The blood leads from the entrance to the power room. It's strange, there's no blood outside. Did the culprit kill Tamori and then ran away in a hurry? No, wait a minute. The fact that the blood is close to the entrance means that the struggle started at the entrance? So why are the windows broken? Breaking those wasn't part of it? Besides, there's this blood near the entrance of the control room, but no blood anywhere outside the power room. Or outside in the power room. Outside the control room in the power room, or outside the switch room in the power room. Did they wipe the blood spots in the power room? What in the world happened? Oh, okay. Well, fire. Oh, I forgot the dying message. Dying message. Oh, what's this? At first I thought it was just blood, but the blood appears to indicate the handwriting of someone on the floor, something on the floor. X, 4 X's? No, it's written 3 X's and a bigger X. Remember, this is supposed to be Korean. Or Korean trying to be Japanese. Maida, is that a dying message? A dying message? Is that something that comes out of a mystery story? Well, it's not necessarily only in fiction. It's entirely possible for victims to leave a clue of their killer. Then this clue was left by Tamori when she died. Does this clue mean anything, though? Well, I can't confirm since I'm not a detective. It's possible the blood sprayed in that manner by accident. However, due to the circumstances, it is more likely to be a message. We have to decipher it. Yeah, I wish I could know what it means. The last message Tamori left to us. XXXX, what does it mean? Or from her perspective, it's X, and then below it, XXX. Evidence recorded in the student handbook. Okay, whatever. That's it, right? Oh, I have to do the scene. Hey, Atano, what are you doing? Oh, Maeda, well, I'm checking here. Do you know what that is? What is that? Burnt charcoal? Isn't that weird? When everyone's gathered in front of the power room, there wasn't anything. When everyone was gathered in front of the power room, there wasn't anything. Like that in the corner, right? Right, I was here too, but I couldn't have noticed. I couldn't have. But I didn't notice that, basically. First, shouldn't we check what it is? Atano, what are you doing? Did you stumble into something? Ah! Atano, why is there blood? Atano, who was walking to investigate the strange object, suddenly grabbed her leg and she started bleeding. The flesh near the back of Atano's left thigh was sharply cut and it was dropping a lot of blood. Atano. Why is it always the left leg? Well, I heard Ayame-chan scream. Ayame-chan. Atano, what is this? What is that wound? Before that, let's call Inori first, quickly. Okay, I'll call her. Atano, how are you feeling? Everyone don't come. Huh? Wire, there's a hidden wire. Wire. Looking closely at the place where Atano fell, the bottom part I was able to see a sharp wire that was hard to see. At least I noticed it because of Atano's blood on it. It's too thin to see with the naked eye. What is this? That burnt object was used as bait. Who installed a trap like this? Why? Now before that, what did we do with Atano? If Inori was here, she's a surgeon, she might know what to do. I got Inori here. Yeah! Wait, Atano, what's going on? Well, she got caught in a wire trap. Inori, what should we do? Wire trap? Why is that? I'll look at her vitals first. Kanata-chan, but is it okay? Is there a place to treat her? Currently, the nurse office is locked. What place do we use to treat her wound? That's true. But the amount of bleeding is bigger than expected. I have to do something about it quickly. Be careful, there's still a wire there. By Inori's judgment, she takes Hatano with her. It's okay, Hatano. As an athlete, she must have a strong will. Let's hope it's just a scratch. I'm worried about Hatano, but there's not much time left before the class trial. I still haven't figured out much. Curses, what kind of person would do this? It's not enough with killing Tamori, even trying to set a trap for Hatano. Is that wire far away? It was installed by the culprit, but was there a target in the first place? If you do a trap like this, it's complete indiscriminate attack against an unspecified person. I don't have much time to go through the details. I've only searched the control room, so let's quickly investigate other places. First of all, Hatano got an injury while trying to investigate this area. What I found is... this looks like a black object. This is a flashlight, another one. This flashlight is burned. There is also a fire inside the control room, so was there this flashlight burnt at some point inside the fire? No, wait. If it was a flashlight, it was already inside the room. 2 flashlights were broken inside. If so, why is this one here, and who used it? See if I can go outside the control room, or the power room. I can't, and it tells me I can't in Korean. Haha, you forgot that line. Makaru, is the investigation going well? No, I have something I have to think about. That's the problem. What, do you want to sit down and naturally talk about it? Do you mind? Shut up, don't speak, idiot. I don't cooperate with you. Do I have to say it 100 times? It's Makaru's reaction as usual. But to think that Makaru has something to think about, is there something amiss in this case? Right, she's not sure. I'm really sorry about Tamori. Yeah, right. I hope you become able to open your heart to us. Open my heart? Come to think of it, I heard that before. Oh, Yuhara wasn't with us that time. After our reunion, we were able to move Tamori's heart. I don't mean to blaspheme the dead, but I honestly can't believe that point. Yuhara too? Makaru said that too. You're a good person down to the root, although you seem stiff and partial. No, I can feel that to be the case because you've been a missionary to others these days. I'm going to pause the encoding to set up my dinner so that when I finish this recording, it'll be done. Okay, I'm back and I can investigate while I preheat. It was only a week since we met her, but the nature of Tamori was bad translation problems. When I left Kinjo's group, I felt hesitant, but it was a bit unbelievable that I didn't care about my pride enough to return to you all again. Of course, it's just my opinion. If I actually thought like that, for you guys I would have... forget I said anything. Yuhara, I know that's not the case right now, but can't you reconsider? Be with everyone together again? Don't talk about it. I changed my mind once. I don't plan on changing it twice. Don't worry, rest assured I'm not trying to blame or ignore you like Makaru. I intend to exchange as much as possible, so don't be too disappointed. Now, let's overcome the crisis that's right in front of us. Alright, Yuhara. Maeda, do you think Hatano will be alright? Not sure, I'm worried, but since she was hurt on the leg, shouldn't be a problem, I think. She got injured while trying to investigate, right? I can't forgive a killer who even does this. Let us investigate more for Hatano's sake. Yeah, there's not much time left, so let's hurry. It's kind of a longer one. Let's see if this person's translation helps me here, because I had a real trouble with trying to Google translate this conversation with Akane when I first did this investigation. Maeda-kun, is Ayame-chan okay? What to do? Can I do? Take it easy, Taira. I know you're worried about the class trial. But the class trial will start soon. We have to focus on the investigation first. A friend was hurt, but you want to investigate? Is it that easy to work around like that? I'm sorry, Maeda-kun. To be mad at Maeda-kun, it's not the right way to do this. It's okay, I understand. Once you start to calm down, I have something to ask you, Taira. Something to ask? Yes, not only you, Tyra, but also in the dorms, Kinjo, Hatano, and Kurakawa weren't there. At that time, even though nighttime was starting, you didn't return to the dorms, right? Oh, that's right. Well, I tried to go back, but I couldn't because of this. Just past 9 o'clock, I was doing some cooking research in the kitchen. Cooking, so the reason why the food was already done every day was because of this? Yes, by the way, it seemed to be that there was a lack of a lot of ingredients today. Because I wanted to make different recipes, but alas I couldn't. I made a mistake while cooking tempura, so all the oil splashed on my clothes. Basically, she was deep frying vegetables and shrimp and stuff. I tried to go to bed soon, but I had to wash the whole thing in the bathroom because the washing machine wasn't working. Oh, I see. By the way, were you alone during that time? Yeah, Ayame-chan seemed to go training, because she was there before going to bed. So that's the case, I see. Yeah, Kazuna-chan, I'm so sorry. Thank you for telling me this. We must find the culprit together. Yeah, let's push on, Maeda. Oh, so in that case, it's not as contradictory. So she wasn't, like, training with... She didn't say she was training with Hatano. She just basically said, I was cooking, I splashed oil on myself, I was trying to clean the oil off. Okay. Still a little weak, but... Oh, they... decided not to translate that one. Sporing, talk about... They got the materials, this is way premeditated, they got the materials way beforehand. It's the end, Maeda, it's the end of me. Why, Otori? Sorry, I'm sorry, it was my fault that Tomori Kazuna died. Wait, what does that mean exactly? Please come down and tell me. Well, that is, now, when I think about it, something suddenly came to my mind. The second day, was it? It must have been the first night after breakfast together. 3 days, my routine was to check the items at the antique shop before late night. And as soon as I wake up the next day, I went there and checked. A number of items every day. Are the antique shop that good? I guess because you're a merchant, you understand it. That's also because when Maki died, wasn't there a lot of stuff used in the crime from the antique shop? I was worried that would happen again, so I looked at things every day and perfectly memorized the type and locations of each object. Anyway, so I look at the items on the items on the second evening and went back to the antique store as soon as I got up the next day. I found out some things were missing. Wait, what things? That's the problem. At that time, all the goods were still properly in order before I went to check. I can't think of what's missing at all, but I know that something was definitely missing. Otori, there's no doubt that the things that disappeared, yeah, were things that were inside the switch room. The fuse, the lighter, and the flashlight, they all disappeared back then. So that would mean that the killer prepared the tools very early in this case. Well, I'm not sure about that, but I'm certain the time the tools were missing was at late nighttime. Late nighttime, but at that point only Mikaru, Tomori, and Yuhara weren't with us. So who were wandering around late at night, right? The culprit is among those three? Oh, then it can't be Tomori, she's already dead. Right, then that leaves Mikaru and Yuhara is one of them, no doubt. My memory is one of things as clear as crystal. It is still too early to conclude, but it seems to have been a good reference. Thanks, Otori. They could have just disobeyed. This doesn't really mean much. By the way, can I ask you one question? Is the wire that just hurt Hatano from the antique shop? Hatano got hurt? What do you mean? Oh, you don't know? Just before the switch room turned off, the killer installed a wire trap. Oh, you mean... What? What do you mean by turned off? Hatano got caught there and she injured her leg. But the wire trap, why is that? Oh, was that the reason why Inori and Hatano just went out together? Yeah, I think the killer is more cunning than I thought. I haven't seen it, but maybe the wire did not come from the antique shop. What disappeared then was the fuse, the lighter, and the flashlight. There were wires, but those were not gone, so probably not. Is that true? Okay, thanks for the clue anyway. Did I help you? You're welcome. Let's do our best to catch the culprit, Maeda. That's right, otherwise we will die. Otori's testimony has been recorded in the student handbook. You can find it in the Truth Bullet menu. Maeda, what happened earlier? I saw Inori and Hatano leaving the power room. Well, that is... I explained to Kinjo what just happened. What, wire trap? I still don't know why the killer installed such a thing. Was it not targeting only for Tomori? If you're still aiming at someone like Hatano was, it just adds more evidence to the crime. No, probably not. Huh, how do you mean? Looking at the case, the wire trap feels a little out of place. Out of place? I'll tell you more about it on the class trial. I have to do some research here now. Having said that, Kinjo looked ahead again. What Kinjo was investigating. Is this pieces of broken glass from the switch room window? Yeah, this is also strange. Strange? The shape of the broken glass, temperature, and the direction of the fragments flew off. The glass, the temperedness, I guess. The direction the fragments flew off. I see. Can I take a look too? You can. Be careful not to damage the scene. The fragments were broken into pieces and splashed to the floor. Inside, I felt the darkness of that room little by little. Also, the shards were quite hot because of the fire. How did this even happen while we were resting? In the first place, I don't even know what was the time the situation even happened. Come to think of it, Kinjo, why weren't you at the dormitory at the time? You said to follow the rule, didn't you? Come to think of it, Maeda, you weren't here back then. There were only 6 of us. It was Taira, Hatano, Kurokawa, Yuhara, Mikaru, and myself. What happened here exactly? Was this fire... Why is the power room... How did the power room become like this? Yeah, I'll tell you. At the class trial, I have to explain the situation to everyone once again. First of all, the reason I wasn't in the dorms at the time, if the others asked, is because I discovered something. What? It was around 9 p.m. As I was about to go back to the dormitory after completing my investigation, I heard Hatano scream. Hearing that there was a fire in the power room, I hurriedly headed to the second floor of the school, where I met Mikaru, Yuhara, and Hatano there. The situation at the time was that the smoke from the switch room was leaking into the hallway. Oh, okay, it explains that. And we hurriedly went in to extinguish the fire with the fire extinguishers in the hallway. At the switch room entrance, in other words, I went to the corner of the power room and turned off the lights, but suddenly I heard turned on the lights. I suddenly heard an explosion sound from the other side. That was the broken glass. When you heard that sound, were you all 4 of you there together? Yes, me, Hatano, Mikaru, and Yuhara. So, Mikako was not there yet. But Rei was, okay? We're in the switch room entrance. We're at the switch room entrance. There was a lot of smoke, but we were close enough to confirm each other's positions. I see, and the only thing I can think of is the killer was inside the switch room. Broke the window and ran away. Have you seen any other person besides those 3? As I mentioned earlier, it was smoky, but I didn't see anyone else. Wait, but at that point, Taira and Kurokawa weren't together. Weren't there. I don't like cutting in here like this, but I'll tell you soon. Anyway, I turned the switch to extinguish the fire at the entrance. And then Hatano, basically I used the fire extinguisher to extinguish the fire at the entrance. And then Hatano, Mikaru, and me went inside. Tomori was dead. At that point, the body discovery announcement came out, and after listening to the broadcast, Taira and Kurokawa came to the power room first. I don't know if you came after them, right? That's right. Then what about Yuhara? You all went in together, but Yuhara did not. Check the body? Yuhara heard me when I told him to check the back broken window and went to the other side. But there were no clues other than what we already see here. After listening to the broadcast, Taira and Kurokawa came. After that, the rest, including me in the dormitory, came, correct? Yes, it seems the overall development of this case is roughly in this manner. But something is questionable. To be honest, it's suspicious that there's 2 people out when the situation happened. Maeda, now that there's not much time left instead of being with me, can you check on Taira and Kurokawa? I want to confirm if they stayed together before the body discovery. Can you find out about it? Say Kurukawa. Yeah, okay. Taira and Mikako. Are you suspicious of them? Well, it's true they don't have an alibi, but... Then please do. I need to investigate the window more. Oh, Kinju, 1 second. Can I ask you one more thing? I just heard the whole situation from you, but I still don't get what's weird about the glass shards from the window. To simplify it, put it neatly, it is neatly broken. Besides, the structure of the window is strange. Look, even though the glass is broken and a body can pass through, the lights in the power room barely reach inside the switch room, right? No matter what principle the room was made of, if it was marked and sealed at this level, when the fire broke out, the outside of the power room would not have spread the flames. More than what was expected. And this was the sense of incongruity you mentioned? Maya, there is no time. I can't explain it in detail here. I'll tell you at the class trial. First of all, check out the alibi of those two people I mentioned earlier. Okay. I heard Kijo's explanation, but I didn't notice anything strange that stood out. Is there something that can only be seen by him as the ultimate police officer? Anyway, I'll know when it comes to the trial. The investigation comes first. Oh, the translation of that was also bad, similarly to my attempt at translating that. Maybe it's better in the truth bullets menu. I'm going to pause here to put something in the oven. Oh. Okay. What was it?
The headmaster of this school, Monokuma, wants to inform you that the fun is pouring out at this hour. Or the run is pouring. The what? I'm out of energy or something. It's already close to midnight, so let's hurry up and finish this. All of you, please gather at the door with the red carpet on the first floor of the school building. The class trial will begin. Couldn't know how to make a red door in RPG Maker 2000. Oh, I hope this gets... But I could put down red carpet. Oh, I hope this gets really fun. Maybe I'll enjoy it.
Finally, it's time. Damn it, I haven't even investigated properly yet. I have only checked the power room and the switch room. There's also the situation with Atano, and the timing was too late. And you did get to go to the kitchen. Well, if I hang out here, Monokuma will kill me, because this isn't a joke. Let's go. Somehow, even with the information collected so far, we have to find out the culprit. It's not just me. If I put everyone's heads if we put everyone's heads together, I can definitely go through this like I did last time. Got it. Okay, yeah. Maeda. Hatano, are you okay? I applied first aid. As a substitute for a bandage, it stopped all the bleeding, but... Hatano, the time is already running out. We have to go to the trial. That's all we can do. Yes, I heard it too. While I received the first aid from Inori and returned to help more with the investigation, it just showed up. We can't help it now. Don't overdo it. Rather, is the leg okay? Hatano? Maeda, Hatano's leg, well, what is it? The truth is, my left thigh tendon has been cut. I can't even walk. The damage might be permanent. Only time will tell. What? It was unfortunate that the tendon part got cut so much. I don't know what would happen. If we did surgery right now. Also, I don't know if there's a room in the school that I could use to do surgery. Wait a minute, what does that... You can't walk, let alone run? Actually, the lower part of the thigh, I can't feel it. Without Inori's support, I couldn't have made it here. This is so outrageous, it's nonsense. Atano, you're a track and field athlete. Is it okay to lose one's talent in vain? I'm sorry. If only I were a doctor who could fix it at once. Stop. This wasn't Inori's fault. However, Maeda, we shouldn't be arguing here right now. Is the class trial about to start? But Atano, in the future, even if my legs are intact, if we fail at the class trial, you all will be killed. This is fine. I can worry about my legs later. So, let's go now. It's enough that Inori supports me. I'll do it. Atano. I tried to be calm, but Atano's body gradually was trembling. You would be the most desperate yourself, even if an ordinary person can't walk anymore. It's a shock. Nevertheless, I have to try to overcome the class trial for everyone, with only a strong mentality. I got it, you're right. When you die, it's all over. Let's go to the trial, everyone's there. Yeah. Coming back in here. I remember when Kyoko-chan died. I was kinda hoping this would not happen again. Hatano, is your leg okay? Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no problem at all. Inori gave me first aid. It'll get better soon. For the time being, Inori will still report my footing, that's all. Hatano? Is that so? I'm really glad. We can go to the trial with confidence. The trial, class trial! I'm going to stand in this trial with confidence! Wow, I was wondering when that was coming out. I see. By the way, Kurokawa is... Where is she? I can't see Kurokawa in the room. Mikako-chan. I haven't been able to see her during the investigation. Where did she go? Now, wait a minute. If they disappeared at this hour, could that be Kurokawa is the culprit? What did you say? Kurokawa is the killer? No, that's a hasty judgment. Maybe something went wrong?
Hey, you're all here. This time I'm kind to you. I came out on the entrance. Face to face. You done releasing the bells, right? I'm really nice, aren't I?
Then are we going down underground like last time?
I'm sad no one pays attention to respond to me.
What are you saying? We're missing one. Where did Mikako Kurokawa go? Huh?
Weren't you all together? Oh, it's true. Is that girl nowhere to be found? Unbelievable. Now she wanna dip the class trial?
You mean skip?
Wait up. I'll bring her now.
But what's this girl being late for? She could die if she's late, damn it. Hatano, who was injured, also came here. She may lack legs, but she doesn't lack guts. I'll have to give that woman a training regiment. Well, I mean, Kurokawa, it's not really the culprit, right? Is not really? What do you mean, Kobashikawa? Kurokawa is not that kind of person. Not that kind of person. Did you guys not see Mitsuhiro Higa as the guy who started the killing at the beginning? Actually, I did see him as that kind of person. That was... gotta flip him. Are you going to claim he's an innocent person? I mean... Something's odd. Didn't you guys used to tackle my words all the time? Tomori Kizuna did that often, but that bitch died. Hey, maid, for some reason, you're being awfully quiet. I thought you would be the first to put up a rebel attitude. Me? Sorry, I didn't hear. Tyra, are you okay? Come to think of it, you seem less energetic than usual. Oh, I just have something to think about. You idiot. The class trial will begin soon. Of course no one has the energy for this. Idiot? Why, of course I'm an idiot. But it's weird. As a suggestion that Kurokawa disappeared, she could have be considered the main suspect. It's worth putting into our topics for later. Even Kinjo thinks that. I can't confirm it yet. Oh, I guess Mikako, Kanata really likes Mikako, interestingly enough. I can't confirm it yet, but some of my suspicious figures were selected during the investigation. Kurokawa is one of them. Why Kurokawa? Let's talk about that in the class trial. Discussing here will only get things agitated. Well, that's like the place for agitation. What happens in the class trial stays in the class trial, and we hold it in until we get to the class trial. Well, yes, but Kurokawa still needs to be here for the class trial.
Everyone waited long enough. I brought the latecomer.
Mikako-chan.
Hurry in, it's the first time, so I'll be flexible or lenient. in this particular case, but next time, I'll punish you with no questions asked. Well now, all 12 of you finally got together? Like last time, I'll be going down first, so take the elevator to proceed.
I have to answer the phone now. Kurukawa, what happened? I haven't seen you since the investigation. What have you been up to? I don't think you came from investigating, were you? Hey, I don't think she plans on opening her mouth anytime soon. Why don't we leave the bitch alone and go down already? It doesn't matter if you want her to speak here. Kurukawa. Trial. After it's over, I'll tell you. This is suspicious. Very suspicious. Headaches, headaches. Alright then, if you are the culprit, you won't be able to survive when the class trial is done. Well, I mean, it could be after the trial and then before the execution. It can't be. It's not her. Kurukawa, was there a reason you are being late? Now everyone, I know you don't like doing a class trial. I wanted to stop the situation, somehow. But it happened. It's really futile at this point. What will happen next? First, let's pass the trial and talk. Now, only think about surviving the trial and clear your minds and eyes from any misconceptions. Kijo is right. I couldn't afford to think differently right now. All we must do is survive. We are again at the crossroads of life and death. Yes, let's clear up our minds and face this. Surely we can make it. We can figure out the culprit. Yes, I am not alone. Everyone is here. I hate to doubt someone again and turn them into a killer, but I have to. Again, I have no choice but to do this class trial. Okay, and I will stop recording here and pick up on the trial in the next recording. Exactly from right here.